Ho ho ho, howdy my fellow dwellers of the internet. Just the other day I was browsing through Steam as I normally do, checking for mods, looking for sales, that kind of thing. When out of nowhere I stumbled upon this community guide on how tortoise ranching was incredibly lucrative in Rimworld. Without even looking through the guide, the little neurons in my smooth monkey brain said, hey, that's an idea. I mean, who doesn't enjoy exploiting defenseless creatures of God for monetary gain? Unbased cringe porons, that's who, and I'm not one of them. So, armed with inspiration from this guide, today I'll be manufacturing as many tortoise eggs as I can for profit. So let's get in. But first, you should check out my awesome Discord server. We got big anime titty trading cards and Ryan Gosling movie night. What more could you ask for? Sorry for the self-shill, I'm a man without dignity. Our beginnings were rather humble with only 2 pawns, Twiddle and Tortuga. Get it? It's Spanish for turtle. I know, I'm pretty clever. And of course, we got our tortoises. 5 of them to be exact, but don't worry, like asexual organisms, they'll soon begin to multiply into a vast sea of tortoise. First though, we've got to round up these little fellas, and they're surprisingly obedient creatures, believe it or not, which is perfect for exploiting them. Next up was constructing rooms for our boys. With that comes power, and I opted for windmills to be environmentally friendly, you know? That wasn't until I realized we were too unskilled to construct them, and that idea went out the window. We're gonna burn wood now.
How dare you!
With power figured out, it's time to build the tortoise box. The initial design was going to feature a stall for every tortoise until I realized that's a dumb idea and settled on a more open, free-range design later on. In the meantime, we're going to need to be able to not only feed ourselves, but our 4-legged egg makers as well, so I set up some large grow zones nearby. Well, would you look at that, our first batch of eggs. For now, we'll let them hatch so we can have even more egg makers to work with. As night fell, we had some feral people wander in, and I got Tortuga to use his atomic riz on the only female in the group, successfully converting her to our cause. And for now, she'll sleep on the ground. I'm sure she's used to it. But who cares about sleeping arrangements when we got our first batch of new egg layers? Yes, feast my children, you will make me many eggs. However, for the ones who are unable to lay eggs, unfortunately, you didn't make the cut. The infanticide of male tortoises must have angered the gods because we got hit with a lightning storm setting the whole map ablaze, forcing us to constantly defend our plants from the flames since the game decided not to send rain until the entire map was pretty much burnt. Then this furry degenerate decided to munch on our crops, so I popped his ass. That's a lot of eggs. As things were coming along, I decided it would be a neat idea if we renamed all our tortoises to asset numbers instead, so I went through and renamed all of them except for one, our starting male named Huck. He's a good boy. As I began to put tortoises in their individual pens, I finally realized this entire design was incredibly flawed and cleared it for the more open one I mentioned earlier. And finally, we were sent our first raid. This man wants to steal our eggs? I don't think so, bud. With the peace restored, I began work on some basic pathways for the compound, and expanded our fleet of living egg dispensers, of course, only keeping the female ones. Look at all the egg juices they left. Yummy. We then quite literally had a pig named Trouble fall from the sky. It must be a sign of things to come. I nurtured it back to health and built a small pen for it. We'll keep it for now until it becomes inconvenient. I also did some much needed remodeling. This is also when all the tortoises decided in unison that they were all going to get sick. Because of this, I had to sift through and separate them to keep it from spreading. When it was all said and done, we only lost 2 tortoises, nothing notable. Boy, I sure do hope this doesn't happen again. Oops, looks like the pig's already dead. Now that they're gone, I tore the pen down and replaced it with an area to keep all our eggs from now on. The game then threw a quest at us to save a guy named Guy. What a name. We set out towards his location, leaving Twiddle in charge of watching the base. While we were in the process of our rescue mission, the base got attacked by raiders and it was all up to Twiddle to fend them off. He did manage to cap one of them, but the second one got the better of him and they decided to just end the raid and kidnap him instead. It's okay, we got his replacement right here. See ya, bud.
Michael, don't leave me here.
We arrived back and continued business as usual. Something does feel like it's missing. Nah, it just must be my imagination. Oh, and it looks like we have another outbreak. Who could have seen that coming? Oh well, you know the drill. Looks like it got our boy Huck. I'm sure he'll be alright. He's a big boy. That's why I was surprised when I saw his name pop up with the rest of the death notifications. In his honor, I constructed a tomb for him. You may be gone, but never forgotten. But as they say, from every dark moment comes something bright. In this case, Guy and Winnie decided to start a relationship, so I threw their Minecraft beds right next to each other. Man, talk about a bedroom. I should also mention that at this point I'd stopped slaughtering male tortoises because I realized tortoises need their eggs to be fertile in order to lay them, and one male just wasn't enough. As we continued on, some slavers showed up and I bought one off them. Why? I don't know, I just did. And I built this nice little place for them to stay. And we're about to do some expanding. Look at them go. We had another group of traders stop by and sold off our first decent-sized batch of eggs to them. Money. And we sold even more eggs off to another group not long after. I guess word of our eggs got out because some random guy decided he was going to join us. Welcome. We must be getting pretty popular because yet another group of traders stopped by. It must be all the fentanyl I laced the eggs with. I sold them some of our product in return for a furry named Cool, and the only reason I got him is because his medical skill may come in handy. But you know what, I was tired of having to wait for people to come to me. I wanted to be able to go to them. So I tamed up some llamas and sent Tortuga and Guy on a quick egg run to one of the nearby settlements. And just in the short time we've been gone, the tortoises have already began restocking. Which is great and all, but we could always have more. Then our boy Massey and the slave from earlier got together, and since I wasn't sure how to get them to use the same bed, I emancipated her and she just ran off, leaving him behind. She done did you dirty, dog. But now everything was looking up for us. Well, until a toxic spewer appeared in the area. If left unchecked, it would kill everything on the map and make life incredibly miserable for us, so we ran over and destroyed it before any damage could be done. Upon our arrival back, I constructed a grand throne for Tortuga to celebrate our success. Now that we started to think we were royalty within the produce world, we needed to start acting like it, and to do so, we need to sell more eggs. And to do that, I packed up Cool and Tortuga and shipped them out to visit the nearby colonies in order to introduce them to our eggy goodness. There was, however, one small issue. Everywhere I went, there wasn't a single person interested in purchasing my eggs. I guess they heard about the fentanyl. Puzzled as to why nobody was buying my eggs, I consulted the guide, only to find out I had been doing this whole thing wrong to begin with. I was meant to sell the hatchlings, not the eggs themselves.
You are made of stupid.
Annoyed with all this, I returned back to base and contemplated what to do. And you know what? There's only one thing I can do, and that's destroy any evidence of my mistake. This never happened, and you saw nothing. But as all the tortoises I worked so hard to create are being incinerated, I'd like to take this time to thank you for watching and remind you to subscribe if you haven't already. Oh, and if you got any video suggestions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Once again, thank you all for watching my stupid ass videos, I really appreciate the support. Anyways, until my next schizo post, farewell.